Cycling friends, welcome to Cycling World, the channel where we revisit the most intense, controversial and fascinating stories of the sport we love. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe, activate the notification bell and leave your opinion in the comments about what we're going to analyse. Today's subject is one of the most heated debates after the 2025 Kigali World Championships. The fierce criticism aimed at Remco Evenepoel following the elite men's road race. The Belgian, Olympic champion and world champion in the time trial finished second behind Tadej Pogacar. But instead of universal praise, he became the target of harsh words from Dutch commentator Thijs Zonneveld, who described him as a crybaby complaining and accused him of losing the rainbow jersey through childish behaviour. The Kigali Worlds were historic. Pogacar launched his decisive attack on Mont Kigali and rode solo to another rainbow jersey. Evenepoel was the only rider capable of limiting the damage, but his day was marked by strange episodes, sudden drops in performance, and above all, bike problems that turned into a show of their own. Zonneveld branded him a soap opera on wheels, insisting that Remco offers not only brilliance and power, but also a constant emotional rollercoaster. One moment he looked unstoppable, the next he was hitting his saddle in frustration or drifting backwards in the bunch. The Dutchman pointed to specific moments. Remco moving from Pogacar's wheel to 40th place on Mont Kigali, his angry gestures while demanding a bike change, and his exasperated waving of arms on the roadside. For Zonneveld, it was less about physical ability and more about immaturity under pressure. Today on Maillot de Montagne, we'll break down Zonneveld's words, examine how Evenepoel's race really unfolded, and ask whether the criticism was justified or simply too harsh. The Kigali road race began in a vibrant atmosphere, with thousands of fans lining the streets and a brutal course ahead. Remco Evenepoel was among the favourites, arriving as Olympic champion and fresh from his world time trial victory. His ambitions were clear. He wanted another rainbow jersey. From the start, he showed authority. The Belgian team rode strongly at the front, setting the rhythm and showing that they were committed to controlling the early stages. Remco looked sharp, comfortable, and in full control. But then came the first signs of instability. Cameras had already captured a light-hearted moment of him dashing out of a portable toilet before the neutralised start, a scene that would later symbolise his day of contradictions, because once the racing heated up, the UPS and downs began. On Mont Kigali, where he was expected to shine, disaster struck. In the space of a kilometre, he slipped from Pogacar's wheel down to around 40th position. The sudden collapse shocked many. Zonneveld described it bluntly. He fought hard, but mainly against himself. You see him strong one moment and gone the next, as if someone flicked a switch. Evenepoel eventually clawed his way back into contention, but the damage was psychological. His body language was tense, his face showed frustration, and the inconsistencies were becoming obvious. He alternated between pulling at the front and drifting out of position. It was exactly this kind of behaviour that earned him Zonneveld's label of a soap opera. And this was only the beginning. The most dramatic part of his race was still to come. The bike problems that would cost him dearly and spark even greater controversy. The defining crisis of Evenepoel's day was the mechanical issue with his saddle. In the middle of the race, he gestured angrily, striking the seat in frustration before raising his arm for assistance. He claimed the saddle had dropped, forcing him into an awkward position and making it impossible to pedal effectively. The first bike change cost him close to a minute, and it happened at the worst possible time, just as Tadej Pogacar launched his decisive move on Mont Kigali. While Pogacar was riding away, Remco was stranded, waiting for a replacement bike. Then came the real shock. Within a few kilometres, Evenepoel stopped again, demanding another bike because the angle of the saddle still didn't feel right. That second change cost him another 40 to 45 seconds. In total, almost 2 minutes were lost. In a World Championships, that's catastrophic. Zonneveld was scathing. What he did is what any junior rider knows not to do. You keep riding as long as possible. You don't stop and wait. He was waving his arms, sulking like a spoiled child. For the Dutchman, the real failure wasn't the saddle. It was Remco's reaction. The lack of race radios only made things worse. The Belgian car was far behind, so assistance was delayed. In that vacuum, Evenepoel's frustration boiled over. His gestures were caught on camera. shouting, shaking his head, furious at losing ground. What could have been a manageable setback became a dramatic scene that overshadowed much of his ride. And yet, when the second change was complete, Remco attacked the pedals again, riding with raw anger. His power returned, and he began to chase. This duality, despair one moment, pride and fury the next, summed up his Kigali experience. He had the strength to fight back, but the way he handled adversity left everyone talking. When the dust settled, Thijs Zonneveld unleashed his most brutal comments. On his podcast, he argued that Evenepoel hadn't lost because of physical weakness, but because of his mindset. That boy is a soap opera on wheels. In one race, you get all the highs and lows, every emotion in the book. He pointed to the inconsistency. Strong at the front, then tumbling to 40th place, shouting about his saddle, wasting nearly 2 minutes with 2 bike swaps, and then riding back past almost everyone as if nothing had happened. For Zonneveld, this was almost bipolar behaviour on a bike. The line that hit hardest was his description of Remco as a crybaby. One moment he looked defeated, about to throw a tantrum on the roadside. Then he climbed back on, cheered himself up, and destroyed the group. If I were his teammate or mechanic, I'd be exhausted. He also criticised Remco's attitude towards his staff. He started blaming the bike, but the mechanic said he checked everything. The way Remco handled it was unfair to the people working for him. In other words, Zonneveld believed the Belgian shifted responsibility instead of taking control. His conclusion was ruthless. Evenepoel has the legs to beat anyone, but not yet the mentality. Whenever the pressure rises, it's the same story. He acts like a little boy. He struggles with setbacks, even though he can overcome them afterwards. The Dutchman's words ignited debate across the cycling world. Was he exposing a truth many ignored, or simply attacking a rider who wears his emotions openly? Whatever the case, his critique painted Remco as a champion of contradictions, part genius, part drama. The final result in Kigali was clear. Tadej Pogacar in rainbow, Remco Evenepoel in silver. On paper, a fantastic achievement. But thanks to Zonneveld's critique, the conversation shifted from medals to mentality. Evenepoel's ride highlighted 2 sides of his character. The positive, his incredible physical power and refusal to quit. Despite the delays, he fought back to second place and was the only rider who came close to Pogacar. The negative, his emotional fragility visible in angry gestures, constant complaints, and impulsive decisions that cost him dearly. The big question is whether this intensity is a strength or a weakness. For some, it makes him human, relatable, and compelling. For others, it's a flaw that prevents him from matching Pogacar's icy control. Zonneveld's words, crybaby, soap opera, acting like a little boy, may have been brutal, but they reflected what millions saw, a rider living every moment at boiling point. In truth, Remco's Kigali ride was both inspiring and frustrating. He showed heart, he showed fire, and he showed flaws. Cycling is not just about legs. It's about head, character, and how you face adversity. Pogacar leaves with another rainbow jersey. Remco with silver and a storm of debate. And now, friends, we want to hear from you. Was Zonneveld right to criticise him so harshly? Or do you think Evenepoel's passion is what makes him special? Leave your comments, subscribe, and stay with us here on Maillot de Montagne, where we bring you the stories that make cycling so captivating.